Hey guys!
So I'm Cindy, Mrs. B.
I'm Ado, Mr. B.
And welcome to our channel, Mr. and Mrs. B of
Moss Design House.
So today I'm joined in by Bianca. She's our design associate here at Moss. So this is a very special episode for us because we're dedicating it to aspiring designers and upcoming designers. And we're calling it Moss Projects, the Design Process. In our design process, we're actually breaking it into 4 different stages. So that starts off with a client briefing, brainstorming, the research and design schematics, and of course, client presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the bottom of things and start with the first stage, which is client briefing. Why is this so important for us?
Sila yung kliyente. Tsaka sila yung nagbabayad sa atin ng service. Kaching, kaching.
It's really important because this is our launch pad for us to be able to design a space that's really fitting for them.
It's really custom made for our clients.
Correct. And like what we always say, when you design something, we're not designing for ourselves, but
Yeah.
we're designing it for them. Our role is really to edit and curate
everything.
and to give an advice.
Because at the end of the day, it's them who are going to use
Yeah,
this.
they're the end user. Okay, so the first tool in client briefing is actually asking the right questions to get to know your client and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
For example, with Bella. Are you someone who likes to have guests? And she said, not so much, or
She doesn't watch a lot of TV.
yes, because we asked her, okay, do you want to have a TV in your living room? And she said, I really don't watch
Read lang
TV,
talaga
to
siya
be
eh.
honest.
Yeah.
And I just like reading books.
Yeah.
And it was nice to know as well how much of her of music plays a big role in her life. In fact, she wasn't even sure whether she can bring the piano. She asked me if, okay, do you think I can bring the piano? And then instantly we said, of course, yes. We're bringing that piano because again, that's your lifestyle, that's you. Kaya I'm so happy na ginawa niyo ng paraan to bring in the piano despite the fact that I said,
Na marami.
Isa lang.
Apat na tao lang. Happy din ako na nakita ko yung reaction ni Bella. Once nandun na yung piano, no? Even though napakabigat talaga ng grabe.
lastly is the plants. Because she said in the briefing that, Cindy, I am now a plantita officially because of the quarantine. And we took notice in her space and make sure that we situate plants in different corners of her space. So it's so important to get to know your client in many angles, not only on
Like a facade.
on a facade, but go much deeper into their day-to-day living as well. Now, for the second tool in client briefing is actually pegs. How helpful are the pegs, really?
Yeah, kasi from the start, if a client doesn't really know what he or she wants, maybe asking them for some pegs of what they want, they can visually tell us what they want.
Like for instance, with Sophia, di ba?
Bad life, bad day. What should I do?
Remember when we had a briefing with her, the whole time she was just saying, I trust you.
Bahala ka na.
Bahala ka na, and whatever you think. But the good thing about that, she gave pegs. Because if she didn't give pegs, then we wouldn't know where to pluck
going to be
out
hard.
a design
Yeah.
inspiration from her. These are very important visual tools for both parties to be able to understand one another. The third client briefing tool is actually site inspection or ocular.
It's very, very important.
It's very important from take-off pa lang to know already the space and the restrictions of the space. So, for Derek's, remember when we saw the photo and it was a garage that needed to be converted into a gym.
home
And
gym.
photo pa lang ako, parang,
How?
wait, how
Hindi
is
lang
this
yun.
happening?
Yung nakita ko yung mismong space, sabi ko, oh my Molly.
Napasubo ka, sir, no?
Sabi ko,
siya. Paano
hindi na to
gagawin ng 3
fluffing. Sabi ko, hindi na
days?
to fluffing.
And it's very important to verify actual site conditions. Not only the condition of the space, but also the measurements.
measurement.
Because when you see a floor plan, you don't know the heights, you don't know the beams, you don't know the depressions of certain floor areas.
There are things talaga that plans don't tell us or don't show
Yeah.
us.
That's a very good point. And then the final tool, actually, which is the fourth one, is to know your client's mandatory. For instance, with apples, we asked her mandatories and what are her assets. So what are assets? You know, these are the things that they own that they want to incorporate in the space. Her mandatories were her entertainment console cabinet
Yeah.
and her
Malangs.
malang paintings and
The drop
her
light.
drop lights. You know, things like these were so important for us to know. So when we design something or we're in the process of brainstorming, which is our second step, we all have this stored in our brains and something that we really consider before we get into the designing part. So the next step in our creative design process after our client briefing is now
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming.
This is really where we put our heads together
Full of
and
ideas.
pull in ideas, which is very important for a firm, for a design firm, to filter out all these ideas. But the main 3 things that we need to establish whenever we do a brainstorming is determining the theme, determining the color story, and finalizing on the space planning. You know what happened with apples, right?
Yeah.
We were still at that point trying to figure out in the brainstorming pa lang, is it going to be timeless classic? Is it going to be
A little
you know,
eclectic.
eclectic? And then we ended up with a
French.
French modern eclectic, primarily because also of the briefing that we had with her. In a color story, you'd have to be able to reflect again what your client wants. So for instance, with Bella, she was, diba, what was her color? that she
Nordic
said?
green.
She was given like a cabinet that was
Yeah.
colored Nordic green.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then we started off with that.
If you have a furniture piece in your space that you feel like doesn't belong and you just want to repurpose, change the color of that into your color story, and then it would feel like it already belongs and it would, you know, the whole story would make sense. The third thing that we have to freeze in the process of brainstorming is actually the floor plan layout. You need to be able to lock down your floor plan to be able to move forward from there.
Yeah.
So in our case, like example was Sophia's, right? We had to understand how she would use the space.
Yeah, because she's a young mom.
Yep.
And her baby is just mag-1 pa lang.
Yeah.
Mag-1 pa lang this year, and then that would really help us know how we would plan the space because we need to know how everyone behaves.
And how are these furniture elements going to play inside or to be laid out inside the room, you know? After you do the client briefing, after you do the brainstorming, it now boils down to really doing the major part of the design process, which is research and design schematics. Because this is where we filter all our ideas that came out from the brainstorming and putting it down to paper and 3D perspectives and blueprint plans. For instance, with Derek, we had how many pass? 3 passes.
Yeah,
So
three.
parang,
Three nga.
but this is usually very internal. The first pass was
Parang it's all black, and then there were just neon lights. I
In
mean,
cement finish.
yeah,
in cement finish. I felt like, no, we needed something stronger in terms of theme. I needed something more hardworking in design. So the second pass was then more hinged on a theme, which is, you know, this container van look and hollow blocks look. So we're all about, using very industrial materials.
Yeah.
When we presented this to Derek in our actually it was our second presentation already, he was really just blown away.
He didn't expect it.
He didn't expect, and he was like, wow, I didn't expect this because it was totally offshoot from what he originally wanted. In the end, we had the last pass, which was already spot on because it was already based on the builds of Derek from the second pass.
Yeah.
Through research, we researched, okay, hollow blocks. I want to see decorative hollow blocks.
Na available.
And Rosel had to research that. What are the available? How hard is it to make,
Yeah.
or to do? Because remember the 3 days to create the container van.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
ridged metal sheets.
Yes, to be able to mimic the container van doors. Derek was very particular and said, yes, I love the cement finish look, but syempre we're not using cement, so it needs to be a little bit more polished than that. Now comes the client presentation, which is really how you sell your design to the client by telling a very good narrative and making the client believe in our design story, right? And the tool that we actually use for that is a presentation deck, a powerful, layered presentation deck that really shows the whole process and the whole journey.
It's a design Bible.
It's basically a design Bible.
You're correct.
Including the perspective. In the perspectives, we try as much as we can to make sure that
It's accurate.
it's accurate. I think that's a key word.
Yeah.
It's as accurate that we can make it. It's a rule in our office to make sure that whatever we're executing, if not the same as the render, even better. And I feel like this is the most important tip of a client presentation is to actually get proper feedback. So when you show the perspective and the layout, you have to ask, is there anything you want to change? Is there anything you want to add? Get those builds in. And think of it as constructive criticism and don't feel offended.
Yeah.
These builds will actually help you have a design that's so successful and have a client that's happy that will always come back to you because they love you and they love the outcome.
The design and their
Right?
service.
We aim to please.
As a special treat, here's a sneak peek of the project of our next home fluffing, which is the living room of Solen and Nico Bolzico. Check this out. Okay, hi Solen and Nico.
Hi guys.
Let me introduce the team first. So this is Mado. You met him when we did the ocular, and this is Bianca. So she's the one who's gonna help me out in your renovation. And we're presenting basically the first pass. So we thought about this concept. Okay, you will say it better. Is it Hasmanian?
Osmanian. Building.
So we're taking cues from the architecture. We'll do arches and we'll do a little bit of the moldings, but obviously on the tones that you requested, which is mostly neutral tones.
Do you have any saying on this?
No, you can just look and then you can go na. Look quick.
So the color story. So we wanted it to be more, obviously more in the neutral tones, but again, different hues of that. And then the fabrics that we're using, say for the curtains, are more in the linen textures. It's something that looks very breathable. I wanted to use panoramic murals because again, we're toning it down, less ornamental, but we wanted to have something that is really impactful when you get into your bedroom.
Can you ask there like a wolf walking in the snow that looks like Pochola?
So don't listen to him. He's gonna interrupt your presentation and you're gonna get lost.
So why have me here if I have no
You
saying?
just have to look at
Okay, sorry.
I don't see. Okay. So we'll have architectural moldings and then I'll have an arch, but the arch is mostly on the mirror that we're using for your bedroom.
Because I do a lot of like finding El Gato in my stories. Can we actually make the same colors as the cat? So this
Wait,
more
no,
camouflage.
if you want to go, we're never gonna finish this. So
Yeah.
let them explain.
I just want people to think that I have a saying.
You don't have to say.
I know the feeling.
For the floor plan, we'll have a bit of a lounge area on that corner. So when you spend time with your baby and you can There's a place for you to sit. And we're still retaining your work area. However, we're shifting that instead of it facing the white wall. What we're doing onto your wooden wall is that we're going to cover that with a padded material. So,
Nice.
Sorry, Nico's gonna go, but I'm staying. So
Bye!
he'll
See you soon, Nico.
Thank you. Don't forget to control the wallpaper.
Okay, now we can focus on the real deal.
So this is the render.
Oh my gosh!
So what we're gonna try to do is to also have a drop light on top of each of the side table. This is the other side of the bed. So what we're gonna try to do is to put a valance board as well. We're gonna have your whole room wallpapered into maybe a linen texture that's very muted, but just to have texture.
Gosh, I'm so excited. So nice. I'm so excited for the room because I've been living my room's like a bodega. Like it's literally just a bed to sleep in. I never hang there. But now it looks so nice. Like I'm so excited.
Okay, so before we end, I mean, you've been with me for
2 years?
2 years already. But what is your message to interior design students or newly grads who are just getting into the profession?
So I just graduated around 3 years ago. So every day is still a learning process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't be afraid to ask questions.
And you, Mr. B?
Very important is you need to take care of your client and build a relationship. Sometimes they'll give you small project and then wag mo silang smallin. No, just still treat them like equal pa rin. Malay mo, the next time, it's big project na, di ba?
Tama yun. Kasi I remember that's how we started.
Yeah.
So my message to interior design students or newly grads is that the learning process never stops. Whether you just got your license or you're just in the process of doing your board exam or you just graduated, always keep your eyes open to new things and develop a good and sound relationship with your clients, because really there is nothing more powerful than a good testimonial from a happy and satisfied client. I just want to give a shout out to all interior designers, to all students, newly grad,
Colleagues.
and our colleagues in the PIIT for pushing the industry forward and just doing what you love with a lot of passion and giving your heart into just the profession. So comment, press the subscription button somewhere again. I don't know. Thank you everyone again for watching. I'm Cindy, Mrs. B.
I'm Madam, Mr. B.
And
I'm Bianca.
our daughter. ang offspring namin malaki na, guys. So, again, thank you for watching your channel, Mr. and Mrs. B of Moss Design House.
Yeah.
And tune in next week. Bye!